Part 14. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 131. The black dragon burped, wagging its tail again, and ran to Xiaoping's side. The phantom monster that rushed over was torn to pieces by the black dragon just now, and was finally swallowed directly by the black dragon. A group of soldiers wearing camouflage carrying various weapons ran out from behind the trees and rocks on the hillsides on both sides, and began to skillfully clean up the battlefield. This was a perfect ambush. No one on his side was sacrificed. Only two alchemists were slightly injured when fighting the big spider, but they were not serious. The burning spider silk spewed out by the previous demonic fire spiders and the open flames caused by the explosion of cloud bombs and rockets must be extinguished in time, otherwise they may cause fires in the mountains and forests. The corpses of those monsters must be collected and counted, and the monster's head was opened to see if there were any boundary beads. The summoners are also doing brain mining work, looking for the world beads that may exist on the monsters. Compared with the various spells of the summoners, the brain mining work of the warriors was much simpler. Several people directly used gasoline saws to cut open the heads of the demon rats to see if there were any boundary beads. The trophies of the warriors belong to the warriors themselves. If the warriors find a boundary bead, no matter what the boundary bead is, it will be exchanged at Xiaoping according to the ratio of 1 boundary bead to 50 body strengthening pills and 50 rune bullets. If there are no boundary beads, the warriors can also use the corpses of those demon rats and spiders to exchange for body strengthening pills and rune bullets at Xiaoping according to a certain ratio. The bodybuilding elixir can continuously improve a person's physical fitness, while the rune bullets can eliminate the threats of demon spirits and demon rats. These two items are the favorites of warriors. Anyone who has taken the body strengthening pill and experienced the effects of the body strengthening pill will be fascinated by the effects brought by the body strengthening pill. The body strengthening pill is too attractive to ordinary people. For everyone who is struggling on the edge of life and death, when a crisis comes, they understand better how important the word strength is. The corpse of a demon rat can be exchanged for 3 body strengthening pills or 1 body strengthening pill and 1 rune bullet at Xiaoping. The corpse of a complete big spider can be exchanged for 2 first-level pills at Xiaoping. Divine power pill and 1 rune bullet and 1 strengthening pill. There is a world bead here, a world bead from the altar. A warrior cut open the head of a demon rat, dug out a world bead from the demon rat's head with gloves, and shouted happily. I also found a boundary bead here. Another soldier on the other side also found it. Ha ha ha, I have one here too. Tupolu laughed and took out a boundary bead from the head of a magic fire spider. After wiping the boundary bead clean, Tupolu murmured in disappointment. He said, why is it a divine fire world bead? The world beads exploded from the monsters hunted by the summoners belong to the summoners personally. These world beads are also important resources for the summoners. Even if they cannot use them, they can keep them or exchange them with other summoners. Xiaoping did not interfere with the boundary beads obtained by the summoners. Seeing that the battlefield was almost cleaned, Xiaoping went to clean the battlefield, counted them by number, and issued meal tickets to everyone. Meal tickets are the nicknames these summoners and warriors use for the loot exchange coupons issued by Xiaoping. The exchange coupons for the demon rat are pistol shells, the redemption coupons for the big spider are assault rifle shells, and the redemption coupons for the world beads are sniper rifle cartridge cases. The cartridge cases have Xiaoping's signature drawn by himself. Others cannot imitate them. With these meal tickets, when they return to the base, everyone can go to Xiaoping to exchange for elixirs or rune bullets. A magic rat can be exchanged for a meal ticket made of a pistol bullet. If the body of the magic rat is incomplete, for example, only half, then the corpses of 2 magic rats can be exchanged for a meal ticket, and the rest can be exchanged for a meal ticket. And so on. On-site counting, on-site invoices, and monster corpses were collected into the space warehouse one by one. It was simple and neat, everyone was convinced, and Xiaoping'an also saved trouble. Xiaoping'an's secret mandala has undergone another great change these days. The number of farmers in the mandala officially exceeds 500, both men and women. The number of technicians and alchemists each exceeds 50. The number of cattle also exceeds 30. The mandala tribe, which was deserted before, is now completely lively and has the appearance of a village. Since Xiaoping'an successfully fused the Yangsui world bead last time, bronze wares began to appear in the secret mandala, and the craftsmen in the secret mandala began to smelt copper and make copper wares. Under the auspices of Kangja, the space warehouses in the secret mandala became 10, the numbers of A, B, C, D, Wu, G, Gang, Xin, Ren, and Gui were all used up. At the same time, the size of the alchemy room has also expanded more than 10 times. Now there are countless alchemists busy in the alchemy room at any time, looking for help. The trophies collected by Xiaoping'an will be processed as soon as they are received in the space warehouse. Refining various things is like an assembly line. In Xiaoping'an's A-shaped warehouse, several medicine shelves were filled with the refined body-strengthening pills, primary divine pills, and first-level divine power pills. Although Xiaoping'an didn't earn too much in processing fees from a magic rat and a big spider, and he had to spend time making some rune bullets himself, he couldn't handle the endless flow of monsters sent to him. As long as you make a little profit from each monster, the pills accumulated in these days are already terrifying. After the monsters in the valley were cleaned up, Xiaoping'an looked up at the sky. The sky was a bit gloomy. The temperature had gradually dropped in the past few days. It was getting colder and colder in the mountains. The cold wind was getting stronger and stronger. It seemed that it would snow soon. The temperature has been getting colder and colder in the past 2 days. It seems that it will snow soon. When it snows, those monsters will hide and are not easy to encounter. This messy situation can be temporarily stopped. Carrying the camouflage uniform Guo Wei, who was holding a sniper rifle, walked over, looked at the sky, pushed up his glasses, and said to Xiaoping'an, "Well, we have been out for 5 days this time. Those soldiers are already a little tired. Let's return to the Yunwan mountain base when it snows," Xiaoping'an said. Every one of those soldiers has taken the bodybuilding pill, and their abilities are getting stronger and stronger. They can last at least another week. The days are long, and there are still many battles ahead. There is no need to rush. My goal is to have 0 deaths among the personnel I lead in every ambush. Yes, 0 death, this is Xiaoping'an's goal, and it has been achieved so far. Xiaoping'an uses remote viewing to lock the target to ambush, then chooses the battlefield, and fights with weapons and methods that completely restrain those monsters. If death does occur, it may be a real accident. Under the leadership of Xiaoping'an, the team of more than 200 people quickly disappeared into the valley. A few days later, a snowstorm arrived as scheduled. Inside and outside the Yunwan mountain base, the entire Xingquan, and even most of Yizhou province were covered with heavy snow. The mountains were completely white, and the wind was howling. Heavy snow, like heavy rain, is what the demon fire spiders fear the most. Before the blizzard came, all the demon fire spiders gradually hid, and it was no longer easy to see them in the mountains outside the Yunwan mountain base. The demon rat's movement in the snow will be restricted, and the demon rat will leave obvious footprints wherever it goes and hides. Heavy snow also restricts the demon rat's movement. When the weather gets cold, the magic liquid spider silk spewed out will be frozen, and its power will be reduced by half, almost losing its corrosive properties. Therefore, the heavy snow is not a good thing for the magic liquid spider, and the magic liquid spider will also hide. All the monsters disappeared when the blizzard arrived. Amid heavy snow and strong winds, Xiaoping'an and his team finally returned to the Yunwan mountain base after several days of hunting. It's Priest Xia and his team are back. At the entrance of the Yunwan mountain base, I saw Xiaoping'an and the others walking towards each other from a distance like snowmen against the wind and snow. The people stationed at the entrance of the base shouted, and quickly started the bulldozer blocking the entrance of the base, and moved the entrance out of the way. Xiaoping'an specially took out the tails of the demon rats and the sharp fangs of the demon fire spiders and demon liquid spiders from the space warehouse, and let every warrior hang them on his body, so that everyone in the Yunwan mountain base everyone can see the results of everyone's victory. To the summoners, such showing off actually doesn't matter. Summoners grow up in the awe and envy of the people around them. However, for those warriors, when they walk into the valley entrance of the base with these things on their bodies, everyone felt like a general returning from a victorious battle, with heads held high and proud expressions on their faces. The soldiers of the 87th Legion stationed at the base saluted with military salutes, while the people holding guns saluted with attention. They all looked at Xiaoping'an and his team with awe and envy, and gasped. How many monsters had to be killed to achieve such a result? The entire Yunwan mountain base was alarmed. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 132. After taking out 50 body strengthening pills and 50 rune bullets, and exchanging the last divine fire world bead, the counting and exchange of the spoils of this expedition was finally over. The cold wind was howling outside the window. The soldiers and summoners who had just received the elixirs and rune bullets had smiles on their faces. The small auditorium of the military camp seemed quite lively. Soldiers who have experienced the effects of the body strengthening pill regard the body strengthening pill as a treasure. With the new body strengthening pill, every time you eat it, your body's quality and ability will improve a little, and you will definitely be stronger next time you set out. Each warrior received more than 10 physical pills. As for the summoners who participated in the battle, some of them not only obtained world beads, but also obtained first-level divine power pills. After careful calculation, there was still a slight surplus in the divine power consumed. In such a battle, the more the better. The wind and snow have been too heavy these days, and the monsters have temporarily stopped. Everyone will take a good rest in the base. I will notify you of the time of the next mission. Okay, let's disband. After Xiaoping'an finished speaking, the people in the auditorium gradually dispersed. Everyone is not a robot, and they are all a little tired. This time we return to the base, just in time to relax and have a good rest. I haven't been this relaxed for many days. Let's have a drink together in the evening. I'll make a hot pot. Li Yunzhou raised his eyebrows and came to Xiaoping'an. Okay, I heard that you have harvested a water-based world bead. You are very lucky, Xiaoping'an asked. The water-based world bead mentioned by the summoner is the Dao world bead, and the success rate of fusion is very high. Ha ha ha, I can't compare to you, you have gained more, Li Yunzhou smiled, beaming, you are now a standard rich man. You have seen it, most of them are foundation establishment world beads, he has built a personal foundation. Some time ago, he also obtained 2 divine power world beads, which were fused by him. After fusing the 2 divine power world beads, Xiaoping'an's current upper limit of divine power has reached 465 points. The foundation establishment boundary bead is also a good thing. If you have a chance in the future, you can exchange it for some good boundary beads. Okay, let's not talk about it anymore. When I entered the base just now, I saw someone hunting a deer. I'm going to get some deer. When the meat comes back, meet me at my place at 8 o'clock in the evening. After Li Yunzhou finished speaking, he waved and left. After Li Yunzhou left, Man Zijin came over and scratched his head. Sir, Okay, I understand. It will be fine for the next few days. You don't have to follow me. You can have a good rest by yourself. If you want to go get together with your comrades, go ahead. It's not good to sit tight all day long, Xiaoping'an moved his hand and said directly. He took out a box of liquor from the space warehouse and said, "Go." A smile appeared on Man Zijian's face. He hugged the box of liquor given by Xiaoping'an and left. As soon as Man Zijian left, Guo Wei walked in from the side door of the auditorium. His hat and body were covered with wind and snow. He came to Xiaoping'an and patted the snowflakes on his body. "I just went to find out. These days more than 100 citizens who fled to the base came to the base, but there were no more incidents, and no women disappeared or were violated again. The methods you gave last time were very good. Now all the citizens in the base are carrying a military sentry. Blow the whistle whenever something happens. There are patrols everywhere, and vicious criminal cases are no longer visible." When Xiaoping'an came to the Yunwan mountain base for the first time, didn't he hear someone talking about a woman who came here being dumped by someone? Xiaoping'an had never heard of it, so forget it. After killing Pan Shiliu in Yunwan mountain, after the base established its prestige, under Xiaoping'an's suggestions, all parties in the Yunwanshan base made some changes. First, the troops occupying the ammunition depot and the base inside the mountain took out many old-fashioned military posts stored in the ammunition depot and distributed them to the citizens in the base. Each citizen was assigned a military post and must carry it with him. Blow when there is danger. Secondly, the previous large and small guards in the base had their own patrol areas. The citizen guards became the militia of the base. The army sent people to train the militia. The militia was responsible for the security and patrol in the base. As long as the training qualified militiamen can freely apply to join the army and officially become a soldier of the army, they can use any heavy weapons they want. Xiaoping'an also asked 2 judges and several lawyers to be found among the citizens, and temporarily set up a citizens' court in the base to mediate and resolve various disputes in the base. After these few moves, the security situation in the base was greatly improved. It improved greatly and order was restored in no time. Xiaoping'an also took Heilong to take a look at the place where the female corpse was found and buried. The female body had been cremated and many clues were difficult to find, but Heilong still found something unusual. Xiaoping'an remained calm. "By the way, just now Colonel Wang Cheng and the others asked me to ask you, if they kill the demon rats and those big spiders, can they exchange them with you for elixirs and rune bullets? Are the people in the 87th Legion unable to sit still?" Xiaoping'an smiled and said, "You tell them, yes, but the corpses of the monsters who come to me in exchange for elixirs and rune bullets can only be within 48 hours. Not for more than 48 hours. Okay, I see. There is something I want you to arrange." "What's up?" Xiaoping'an whispered a few words to Guo Wei. Guo Wei's face changed slightly, and he suddenly became serious. He nodded, "I understand, don't worry, leave it to me, I will arrange it." Guo Wei also left. Xiaoping'an was the only one left in the auditorium. Xiaoping'an came out of the auditorium and looked at the sky. There were still 4 or 5 hours until dark. "I wonder how Xiaoning is doing now. Can she also see snow?" Xiaoping'an thought of his sister and was in a daze for a while. There was a layer of snow on the ground, and the entire base was covered in snow. Puff, 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 Xiaoping'an stepped on the snow and returned to his residence. Xiaoping'an took out 2 fusionable boundary beads besides the foundation building boundary beads harvested this time. Of those 2 world beads, one is a divine power world bead. On the world bead, there are the words Wu Qi Lun danger. Another boundary bead is called the militia boundary bead by the summoners. After the militia boundary bead is fused, the summoner can have a certain probability in the secret mandala, and can transform some summoned farmers into militiamen. Stronger than ordinary slave soldiers, and can use a variety of weapons. Inside this militia boundary pearl are 4 words, Chinese people riot. Xiaoping'an did not rush to fuse the world beads, but sat quietly in the room with his eyes closed, recharging his energy. Just over an hour later, the entire Yunwanshan base almost knew that Priest Xia's good friend Li Yunzhou had exchanged venison in the base and was going to have a drink with Xia Pinggan tonight. Along with this news, there are two other pieces of information. One is that Priest Xia has obtained a lot of realm beads this time. It is said that Priest Xia has more than 10 or 20 realm beads on his body. The second one is that Priest Xia has won a great victory. After returning, everyone was given a holiday. Even Man Zijin, who usually followed Xia Pinggan, went to a party with friends. Night has arrived before you know it. Chapter 2 will be updated later today. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 133. Outside the house, snowflakes are flying. In the house, the heat is rising, and the aroma of venison hot pot is tantalizing people's taste buds. The dishes on the table were already in a mess, and the bottles of wine Xia Pinggan took out were almost finished. In the past, such a hot pot meal might not have been a big deal, but at this time, being able to have such a hot pot meal was definitely a luxury. Venison, shiitake mushrooms, fungus, mushrooms, cabbage, kohlrabi, cauliflower, canned luncheon meat, pork elbows with soy sauce, high-quality liquor, beer, wine. None of these things can be bought if you have money now, except for the venison, which Li Yunzhou got. Xia Pinggan and other things were taken out from the space warehouse. It is said to be hot pot, but the end result is a group of people eating here. The old rules, the bottom shell of brass cannonballs and a few military gasoline stoves, everyone gathered together, and the atmosphere was instant. Tupolu, Li Yunzhou, Fang Lingshan, Xia Pinggan, Fen Yudao, Ximen Dan, Guo Wei, Shui Sidao, and Zhu Zhu totaled 9 people. Fen Yudao and Ximen Dan were the two summoners, one fat and one thin, that Xia Pinggan rescued from Xingquan City. The thin one was Fen Yudao and the fat one was Ximen Dan. After the two came to the Yunwan mountain base, he followed Xia Pinggan wholeheartedly, shouting like a boss, and was not afraid of others saying he was disgusting. Shui Sidao is a handsome middle-aged uncle Mo Yan. He used to be the summoner of the demon-suppressing guard. He met Tupolu and went on the expedition with Xia Pinggan. After fighting for these days, he became familiar with Xia Pinggan and others. A group of people had similar habits and unknowingly gathered around Xia Pinggan. Zhu Zhu is a female summoner with strong strength. She broke through the 1 UN realm last year. She is also the summoner of the Yizhu Demon Guard. She has long hair, almond eyes, red lips, and is arrogant. Although she is not young anymore, she is in her 30s. It is the most feminine time. Zhu Zhu and Fang Lingshan are good friends who have known each other for many years. Fen Yudao was directly hummed by Zhu Zhu's 2 bottles of white wine. When he spoke, his face turned red, his tongue became knotted, and his eyes went straight. I was running for my life with Fat Dan, when I saw those big spiders appearing in front of me, then, I felt cold and thought, it's over, this time I have to explain here, who wants to? If you can save my life, you can give me your life. I didn't expect that at this moment. The boss appeared, grandmas, so handsome. As soon as the boss came, he would kill those monsters immediately. I was conquered at that time. I wanted to hang out with this kind of people in the future. It is absolutely popular to drink spicy food. Look, I guessed it. I have such a good figure. Who do you think is fat? You are the one who is fat. Your whole family is fat. Ximendan's eyes were a little straight, and he stood up as he spoke, twisting his butt coquettishly. Look, my body is so flexible, I'm fat there. As Ximen Dan said this, he also hit Fen Yudao twice. Unexpectedly, it would be better if he didn't hit him. With this blow, Fen Yudao was knocked down on the table, and in the blink of an eye, he was snoring. Fang Lingshan also drank a lot of wine, and her big cold eyes were a little bit drunk. She stared at Xiaopinggan, with a half-smile in her eyes. You tell me, me and Anqing, who is the most beautiful, who is, the number one beauty of the Xianghe City Order Committee? Jizu, the most beautiful. Xiaopinggan's cheeks turned red, and he seemed to be a little drunk. He picked up a bottle of white wine, stood up, drank half of the bottle, and spilled almost all the remaining half. It got on his clothes and made him smell of alcohol. After drinking this bottle, he took out another bottle, raised his head and drank a lot, laughing. You are lying drunk on the battlefield, Lord, don't laugh. How many battles have you fought in ancient times? People say, what a poem, what a poem. Receive red envelopes, cash or point currency. Red envelopes have been sent to your account. Follow the public account Book Friends Base Camp on WeChat to get it. As he spoke, Xiaopinggan staggered open the door, letting in the cold wind and snowflakes outside the room, causing the fire of the military gasoline stove to sway, while Xiaopinggan's figure had already left. He walked out and disappeared into the wind and snow outside. We've had a lot of drinking today. Priest Xia is a little drunk. Let me send him back. Guo Wei blinked at Fang Lingshan and Tupolu, then got up, chased Xiaopinggan out, and closed the door. Stand up. Zhu Dan looked at Fang Lingshan and smiled. This man is drunk at the right time. But Tupolu touched his bald head and was still reciting the poem that Xiaopinggan had just read. Don't laugh, Lord, lying drunk on the battlefield. How many people have fought in ancient times? This poem is so flavorful. I have never seen it before. I've heard of it. Could it be that Xiaopinggan wrote it himself? Li Yunzhou was already a little drunk and was lying on the table holding a wine glass and giggling. Xue Sidao looked at Xiaopinggan's back and then at the small note Guo Wei handed him just now, thoughtfully. It was pitch dark outside, and almost no one could be seen in the huge military camp at this time. Only the light could still be seen in the rooms. There were almost no people in the Yunhuan mountain base, only a few sentry towers. There was still a faint light on. Most of the soldiers who returned to the Yunhuan mountain base today were relaxing, drinking, or already asleep. Guo Wei, who followed out of the room, caught up with Xiaopinggan who was holding a wine bottle. He wanted to help him, but Xiaopinggan pushed him away and sat down in the snow. However, Guo Wei was not angry and continued to catch up. He took Xiaopinggan and sent him to the room in the barracks yard where Xiaopinggan lived. A few minutes later, the lights in the room went out. Guo Wei came out of the room, closed the door, and left. What Guo Wei didn't know was that when he came out of Xiaopinggan's room, there was a pair of strange eyes staring at him in the wind and snow. The lights in Xiaopinggan's room never came on again, and no one came back. The people in the room seemed to be asleep. 3 hours later, the lights in the lit rooms in the military camp were turned off one by one. In the entire military camp, except for 1 or 2 rooms in the distance where there was still light coming out, everyone seemed to have fallen asleep, and the people in the bright room were just drunk and fell asleep in the room without turning off the lights. Except for the sound of the wind, there was silence in the Yunhuan mountain base. More than an hour later, when the night was at its darkest, Xiaopinggan was in the wind and snow outside the barracks. He looked like a tall snowman. The snowman opened his eyes, revealing a pair of blood-red and violent eyes, like a devil, and then the snowman walked step by step towards the room where Xiaopinggan was. Wherever the snowman walked, he left no footprints on the ground. There was no sound, only shallow traces of water, which disappeared in the blink of an eye. The snowman came to the door of Xiaopinggan's room. His body melted little by little and turned into black water. The black water, like mercury, flowed into the room from the crack under the door of the room. 2 seconds later. Boom! It was like a brilliant firework was lit in the room where Xiaopinggan was. The steel door of the room suddenly melted, fell apart, and exploded outward. A black figure flew out of the room, flying upside down, vomiting black blood. Now that you're here, do you still want to leave? Xiaoping'an chased out of the room like a ghost, with fire flashing all over his body. In Xiaoping'an's hand, he was still holding Tupolu's magic weapon, the sword. Just when the black figure vomiting blood flew out of the room, the big knife in Xiaoping'an's hand had already struck. The black figure was directly cut in two by the big knife in Xiaoping'an's hand, split in half from head to toe. With a sharp scream, the black figure actually split into two, and the two halves of the body blinked into two smaller people, running away to the left and right at the same time. Bang, bang. MR98 instantly appeared in Xiaoping'an's hand. After two gunshots, the two fleeing black figures were shot through by two rune bullets, and their screams turned into burning in the air. Where the two flames burned, the snowflakes on the ground turned black, and then melted in the blink of an eye. Why don't you come out yet? The next second, the MR98 in Xiaoping'an's hand disappeared, and then a single soldier cloud bomb launcher appeared in Xiaoping'an's hand. With a big killer weapon in his hand, Xiaoping'an didn't even take a single glance, and fired the individual cloud bomb toward the towering water tower more than 70 meters away. No one expected Xiaoping'an to be so cruel. Boom! The flames of the expanding and exploding cloud bomb not only alarmed the entire military camp, but even the entire Xuanhuan mountain base. The shock wave swept up the snow all over the sky and swept to the barracks where Xiaoping'an was located. Xiaoping'an rushed over against the shock wave. Where the cloud bomb exploded, a scream came from the water tower. A green figure was on fire, his skin turned into charcoal and cracked inch by inch. He flew down from the water tower and tried to escape. Old 2, go on. Xiaoping'an threw the big knife in his hand fiercely, and the big knife flew out like an arrow. Ha ha ha, here I come. In the midst of laughter, the bare-headed Tupolu suddenly burst out of the snowflakes on the ground, grabbed the big knife thrown by Xiaoping'an, and struck the air like a thunderbolt. He slashed out at the black shadow. The broadsword burned in Tupolu's hand, and blazing fire shot out from the blade. It looked like Tupolu's hand was holding a broadsword more than 10 meters long. As Tupolu slashed, after slashing out, the flame flew out from the blade and turned into burning blade light. The blade light directly turned one of the black figure's legs into ink powder, which fell from the air. The figure running wildly in the air groaned and fell from the air, but in the blink of an eye, it rushed out like lightning. Why don't you cool down at this time? Fang Lingshan, Zuzu, and Li Yunzhou appeared, and 3 water bombs hit the figure with a burning forehead from 3 directions almost at the same time. When the firelight met the water, it cooled instantly, and the black figure's body shell exploded piece by piece, revealing a figure that looked like it had been skinned, covered in blood, and with a wolf-like head. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 134. Magic Wolf Mage. Li Yunzhou and others exclaimed when they saw the monster with a wolf head and blood all over its body. Before, no one knew that the ambush was actually such a thing. The magic wolf mage had been seriously injured. Not only was there not an inch of intact skin on his body, but one of his legs had been chopped off by Tupolu. The blood of the magic wolf mage who fell on the ground continued to flow down, and he looked at him with ferocious and bloody eyes. He glanced at the people around him, raised his head and let out a wolf howl, turned around and ran away. Still want to run, Xiaoping'an had already rushed over and fired one after another with the MR98 pistol in his hand. Rune bullets whizzed towards the demon wolf mage one by one. The demon wolf mage was like a wild wolf, running wildly close to the ground, twisting strangely, like a bloody shadow. Xiaoping'an continued. He dodged all 4 bullets fired. However, the bullet was not Xiaoping'an's killing move, but a tool to delay the action of the magic wolf mage. Just when the magic wolf mage dodged 4 bullets, Xiaoping'an had already rushed to the side of the magic wolf mage. With a move of his hand, the black cobra's steel whip appeared in Xiaoping'an's hand. Xiaoping'an drew out the whip. The steel whip pierced the air, roared, and rolled up the surrounding wind and snow. The snowflakes in the air condensed on the steel whip, extending the length of the Black Cobra's steel whip to more than double, turning it into a long whip like a snowflake struck the Magic Wolf Mage hard. At this moment, the Magic Wolf Mage's flesh and skin were torn apart, and his flesh and blood flew everywhere. He could not avoid the strange and unpredictable steel whip in Xiaopingan's hand. With a scream, he was hit by the snowflake whip in Xiaopingan's hand, and rolled from the air. It hit the snow. Not only that, the body that had just been hit by Xiaopingan's long whip suddenly froze and stiffened, forming a layer of ice shell. Wow, the Magic Wolf Mage shattered the ice shell all over his body, and his whole body was filled with blood, and he wanted to continue running away. Where to escape? Tupolu and others were already rushing towards the Magic Wolf Mage. Tupolu held a big knife and blocked the front of the Magic Wolf Mage. He slashed at the Magic Wolf Mage with one strike. Li Yunzhou and others had summoned fireballs, and several fireballs flew directly towards the Magic Wolf Mage. The Magic Wolf Mage's flight was just a false shot. At the moment when Tupolu and others were lured away, the Magic Wolf Mage suddenly turned around and rushed towards Xiaopingan, and let out a shrill roar in his mouth, "I kill you." A sneer appeared at the corner of Xiaopingan's mouth, and he waved the long black cobra whip in his hand. The snowflakes in the sky were stirred by the long whip in his hand, and they also hit the Magic Wolf Mage like whips. The Magic Wolf Mage roared, and dozens of tiny ice picks flew out of the snow on the ground. The ice picks, like countless bullets, shot directly towards Xiaopingan. Xiaopingan waved his hand, and a rippling water shield appeared in front of him. Those ice picks shot into the water shield and were frozen all of a sudden. The water escape turned into an ice shield. Xiaopingan held the ice shield, and his whole body he rushed out fiercely, even with his shield, and used an ice shield to protect his body. Like a meteor, he slammed head-on into the charging Magic Wolf Mage. The thick ice shield was completely shattered by the huge impact force. The Magic Wolf Mage was hit so hard that a mouthful of blood spurted out from his mouth. The large bones on his body made a clearly audible shattering sound at the moment of impact. The fight with the demonic Wolf Mage involves both physical combat and magical combat, which is extremely dangerous. Just after knocking the Magic Wolf Mage to the ground, a black mist surged from the body of the Magic Wolf Mage. The black mist, with its teeth and claws open, rushed directly towards Xiaopingan. "Be careful, that's the bone-corroding fog," Zuzu shouted in the distance. Xiaopingan's body quickly bounced up and retreated, avoiding the black mist. The black mist continued to rush towards Xiaopingan. The Magic Wolf Mage took the opportunity to roll up from the snow and wanted to continue running away. But just when he was about to run away again, at some point, the snow on the ground in front of him suddenly appeared. In the pile, a cute black little turtle the size of a palm appeared, and the little turtle bit the Magic Wolf Mage's foot. With just one mouthful, the entire body of the extremely fierce demonic Wolf Mage was instantly frozen, and his entire body suddenly turned into a black ice sculpture. Xiaopingan, who was retreating, took out the MR98 again. Bang! With one shot, the MR98's muzzle flashed and fired a rune bullet. The rune bullet passed through the bone-corrosive fog, and the rune effect on the bullet was activated. The bone-corroding fog clicked. The bullet burned, but the bullet's body passed through the black bone-corroding fog and hit the head of the Magic Wolf Mage, whose whole body was frozen. Just like a piece of exquisite porcelain being smashed to pieces, the entire ice sculpture-like body of the Demon Wolf Mage turned into countless fragments and shattered on the ground the moment it was hit by a bullet. The burning bone-corrosive mist turned into a black liquid and fell to the ground. The ground smoked and was corroded into a large pit. The wind and snow are howling around. The fierce battle is finally over. The other summoners in the military camp who had just been alerted rushed over. There were faint lights of fire in the snow in the distance. They were the team of soldiers who were also rushing here. Xiaopingan put away the MR98 in his hand, walked to the corpse of the Demon Wolf Mage that was covered with broken ice, kicked the frozen wolf teeth and broken bones on the ground, and shook his head. This the magic wolf mage is really difficult to deal with. Tupolu and the others had already walked over. Are you okay? Tupolu asked. It's okay, Xiaopingan shook his head. Have you known for a long time that there is a magic wolf mage hidden in the base? Zuzu asked. Xiaopingan spread his hands. In his hand, there was a small plastic bag. In the bag, there was a slender brown wolf hair. This is what I found by the lake where the woman was killed when I first came here. This wolf hair is by no means an ordinary wolf hair, this wolf hair has the aura of the murdered woman. Everyone around him took a breath. In such a large Yunwan mountain base, Xiaopingan could actually find a wolf hair with the scent of the murdered woman here. This is too perverted. Ah, your hand. Li Yunzhou looked at Xiaopingan's hand and his expression changed slightly. On the back of Xiaopingan's right hand, close to the tiger's mouth, under everyone's comments, a black pattern of a snarling wolf head with blood-red eyes quietly appeared. The pattern, like a tattoo, appeared quietly. This is the curse of the demon wolf mage. Anyone who kills the demon wolf mage will be left with the demon wolf mage's death curse mark. This mark will be sensed by other people in the demon wolf mage family, and then they will seek revenge on you. Fang Lingshan looked at Xiaopingan and said softly. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 135. The Magic Wolf Mage is a mage of the Magic Wolf race among the space-invading creatures. The Magic Wolf clan is a bit like the legendary werewolves on Earth in the past. The genes of this race allow them to exist as humans in normal times. Only in a certain period at some point, he will transform into a demon wolf. Compared with the invading creatures such as magic rats and magic fire spiders, the magic wolves are more terrifying, more concealed, and more destructive. In addition to the demon wolf mage, there are also demon wolf warriors. A large group of summoners arrived, including several officers in charge of the 87th Legion. The originally peaceful military camp had been broken. Under the light of the flashlight, looking at the body of the magic wolf mage that had been turned into pieces on the ground, all those who came had serious expressions on their faces, and a chill in their hearts. There were too many people fleeing to the Yunwan mountain base before, and we were unable to verify the identities of all of them. Unexpectedly, among those people, there were actually members of the demonic wolf clan, Colonel Wang Cheng said with a scared look on his face. If this person hadn't been discovered tonight and let him stay in the base, I don't know what else he would have done. There are many summoners in the base, so this person has never dared to act rashly, let alone use magic easily. He just attacked a woman, but he was discovered by Priest Xia unexpectedly. A summoner also had lingering fears. Magic wolf mages and magic wolf warriors are invading creatures that specialize in hunting and assassinating human summoners. They are the enemies of all summoners. If this guy hadn't been killed by Priest Xia, I don't know how many people would suffer in the future. At this moment, Xuanhuan emerged from the crowd, with a lamplit in his hand. He looked at the body fragments on the ground, then at Xiaopingan, and took a slight breath of air. How is the situation in the town? Xiaopingan asked directly. Everything is normal in the town. No one has escaped, and no abnormal fluctuations in divine power have been found. Xuanhuan replied. The previous task that Xuanhuan received was to let him monitor the situation in the town tonight. If there is any action here, with the results, let's see if there are any abnormal situations in the town. This is an arrangement made by Xiaopingan to prevent the attacker from having hidden accomplices at the Yunwan mountain base. It seems that there is only one magic wolf mage who has sneaked into the Yunwan mountain base, and there are no other accomplices. Don't worry too much, just disperse and do what you are doing. A lot of us gathered here in the middle of the night. I'm afraid it will also make the residents of the town panic, Xiaopingan said to everyone. The summoners who gathered looked at each other and dispersed one by one. Do you want to tell the people at the Yunwan mountain base about this? Wang Cheng exchanged glances with several officers around him, and asked Xiaopinggan's opinion in a questioning tone. Make an announcement. Let's be honest. Being secretive only makes people panic. Let's just say that we found and killed a magic wolf mage tonight. Will this cause panic among the people? At times like this, concealing the truth will really cause panic. Understood. The troops finished handling the scene and left directly. Seeing that Xiaopinggan was in danger tonight, but he was not by Xiaopinggan's side to protect him, Man Zijin came over with a look of shame on his face. Sir, It's okay, tonight is just a game I've set up. You have to stand guard at my door. This magic wolf mage might not dare to take the bait anymore, so I have to send you away. It's best to be like this. Xiaopinggan patted Man Zijin on the shoulder and said. I wonder how many people from this magic wolf mage's family came from the space rift. Li Yunzhou glanced at Xiaopinggan and the cursed wolf head tattoo on his hand with some concern. According to the historical data of the Order Committee, every time the Demon Wolf clan enters the space rift and comes to our world, they are united as a family. A Demon Wolf family may have more than 10 people at least, or hundreds of people at most. You have to be careful in the future. If you want to go somewhere in the future, it is best to ask a few more people to follow you instead of trying to do it alone, Tupolu said in a deep voice. Yes, the Demon Wolf clan is the most vengeful. If you don't want to be killed by the Demon Wolf clan inexplicably in the future, you'd better improve your strength as soon as possible. The most ordinary Demon Wolf warriors have the combat power of the 1UN realm and are extremely fierce. The magic wolf mage you killed just now is not the strongest among the magic wolf mages. The strongest magic wolf mage will grow 2 more heads after appearing, and the hair on his body will change color many times, and finally turn into gold or white. Fang Lingshan said. I know it well. Only by putting more pressure on can you be motivated. Xiaopinggan smiled. It's too late today. Let's go back and rest. If you can't live in the room in your yard, just move to our yard. Our yard is big and there are still a few empty rooms. Let's stay together so we can take care of each other, Tupolu said. Xiaopinggan thought for a while, and nodded, okay. The room he lived in before was almost completely destroyed after his fight with the magic wolf mage. The room was in a mess, and some things were contaminated with poison. Xiaopinggan didn't bother to clean it up, so he simply burned it all and moved to another place. The place. Man Zijin also moved with Xiaopinggan to the courtyard where Tupolu and the others lived. Xiaopinggan's room was right next to Tupolu's. Opposite Xiaopinggan was Fang Lingshan's room. Man Zijin lived directly in an empty room at the gate of the courtyard. Returning to the room, he closed the door, took out a sleeping bag from the space warehouse and threw it on the bed. Xiaopinggan looked at the curse mark of the wolf head on the tiger's mouth of his right hand, and then carefully checked his whole body and found that there was no trace of anything on his body. The problem is that the curse mark on the wolf head looks a bit strange, and he is completely sleepless. Xiaopinggan simply took out Wu Qi's world bead and started to fuse it. With a drop of blood, Xiaopinggan's entire body was quickly enveloped in a cocoon of light. Xiaopinggan opened his eyes and found that he was on a large ship with several large ships guarding him. The big boat was sailing in the river, the flags were fluttering on the boat, and there were many people on the boat. Looking at their clothes, you could tell that the people on the boat were all dignitaries of the Wei state during the Warring States period. On both sides of the river, there are steep mountains and eagles roaring and apes singing. In the river, the water is rolling and turbulent everywhere. A group of people stood on the bow of the ship, giving directions. Among all the people standing at the bow of the ship, there was a man who was short and stocky, with a thick beard. He was wearing the royal robes of a country's lord, and he looked very imposing. These mountains and rivers are so steep that they are more dangerous than hundreds of cities. Our Wei state has such steep rivers and mountains to rely on. Who can break in? God has been kind to our Wei state, ha ha ha. Xiaoping'an looked at the man and knew that the man should be Wei Wuhao. Looking at the man's courage, he was indeed worthy of being the hero who revitalized the Wei kingdom. Seeing that Wei Wuhao was so happy, the ministers serving Wei Wuhao were all catering to him. Your Majesty is right, our Wei state has such a natural moat and such rivers and rivers. The one who will dominate the world in the future must be our Wei state. This is God's gift to your Majesty. If Prime Minister Li were still here, he would be happy for the king after seeing his achievements today. Li Xiang is talking about Li Kui. During the time of Wei Wenhou, Li Kui was the Prime Minister of the Wei state, presiding over the reform and strengthening of the Wei state. Li Kui was also a representative figure of legalism in the Wei state. Unfortunately, Wei Wuhao had just succeeded to the throne for a year, and Li Kui he passed away. Losing the assistance of this court veteran has always been a regret in the heart of Wei Wuhao. These ministers were naturally picking up the good things that Wei Wuhao liked to hear. The reason why the Jin state was strong back then was because of the dangers of mountains and rivers. A minister, stroking his goatee, said to King Wu of Wei, "Our Wei state now has the same conditions as the Jin state. If the king can improve his politics, by working hard, your Majesty will be able to lead our country, Wei, to dominate the world and establish eternal merits." King Wei Wu laughed loudly, and the following words spoke to his heart, "Ha ha ha, Wang Qing is right." Wei Wuhao glanced around and found that everyone on the big ship was saying words that made him happy. Only Xiaoping'an stood silently, just looking at Wang Zhong and himself who had just spoken with strange eyes. Wei Wuhao couldn't help but feel moved in his heart. Wu Ping'an stood silently. "Why don't you speak? Do you think what we said is wrong?" Xiaoping'an looked at Wang Zhong, but he was surprised in his heart. He did not expect that the biological father of Gui Guzi, who would become famous all over the world, would look like this. Wang Zhong is a sinister villain, but the son of this sinister villain has extraordinary abilities and is extremely awesome. He is the most awesome person of this era and has influenced countless people. According to historical records, Wu Qi's words today are certainly he was a celebrity through the ages, but at the same time he offended Wang Zhong, which paved the way for him to be plotted by Wang Zhong to flee to Wei in the future. Above the court, beside the king, the light of swords and shadows kill people invisible. If you say the wrong word, you may end up in exile, so you have to be cautious. If Xiaoping'an was really Wu Qi, he would probably agree with what others said at this moment without using his words. However, his purpose at this moment is to integrate the world pearl, so he can only say whatever Wu Qi says. Wu Qi's thoughts were thousands of years ahead of this era. Even people thousands of years later may not be able to fully understand. In the words of later generations, Wu Qi was the first in the world to propose that a country's most important national defense line is a country. People's values and ideological understanding rather than defense fortifications and mountains and river passes. If a country's values and ideological understanding collapse and become chaotic, then no matter how many troops a country has and how many dangerous passes it occupies, it will collapse and become chaotic. He is worthy of being the military god of this era. Xiaoping'an sighed and said directly, "What the king just said is very dangerous to the Wei state." All the ministers are echoing the king's words. "I am afraid that if you are not careful, the eternal foundation of the Wei state will be ruined." Marquis Wu Wu of Wei looked stern, and the other ministers also closed their mouths and looked at Xiaoping'an. Wang Zhong's expression became even stiffer. "Why did Wu Qing say this?" Wei Wuhao asked quickly. "The most dangerous thing on which a country depends is not its rivers, passes, or cities, but its virtues." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 136. In the past, the geographical location of the Sanmiao clan was so dangerous. It had Dongting Lake on the left and Pengli Lake on the right, surrounded by two lakes. But because San Miao did not practice morality and righteousness, wasn't it destroyed by you? Xiaji's capital was located in a more dangerous place. The dangerous location is surrounded by the Yellow River and Jishui River on the left, guarded by Mount Tai and Huashan on the right, Yuktianbao in the south, and Xuanhuan in Yangchangban in the north. Where is Xiaji today? The same is true for King Zhou of Yin. From this point of view, the stability of a country does not depend on virtue. If virtue is strong, the country will be prosperous. If virtue is weak, the country will be weak. In the past, those who wanted the country must first educate the people and be close to all the people. What they did was to gather virtue and become virtuous. Please give me your advice. After Xia Ping'an said this, there was silence on the boat, but the expression on Wei Wuhao's face was greatly touched. What is the virtue of a country according to what Wu Qing said? The virtue of a country lies in the human heart, in the four words of propriety, righteousness, and integrity. Propriety and righteousness are the great ways to govern people, integrity and shame are the great principles of establishing people. If you are not honest, you will do everything, and if you are not shameful, you will do everything. If people are like this, they will misfortunes, defeats, chaos, and destruction are inevitable. If you are a minister and take everything and do everything, then the world will not be in chaos and the country will have no shame. Is there anyone who will not perish? Xia Ping'an said this with some emotion in his heart. In the final analysis, all future disasters for the Chinese nation will be caused by the collapse of values, etiquette, justice, and integrity, and the collapse of values, etiquette, justice, and integrity basically begins with the ruling class and scholar bureaucrats. The latter words were not actually said by Wu Qi, nor did he invent them. Propriety, justice, integrity, and shame were first mentioned by Guanzi. Guanzi listed them as the four dimensions of the country, which are the four dimensions and standards of national values. Later, Feng Dao of the Five Dynasties explained clearly its relationship with the rise and fall of the country. What Wu Qing said is great and can be used to govern the country for all generations. Marquis Wu of Wei greatly praised it. The ministers on the boat took a look, and one minister curled his lips when he saw Xia Ping'an being in the limelight here, and said angrily, "What Master Wu said is quite good, but I don't know that Master Wu abandoned his mother in the first place when he kills his wife in order to seek fame and a future. Where is Mr. Wu's propriety, justice, and shame?" When Wei Wuhao saw someone exposing Wu Qi's scars, he looked at the minister who spoke with some displeasure. Wu Qing is a great talent. There are great talents like Wu Qing in the two countries of Wei and Lu who don't know how to cherish them and let their pearls fall into dust. This is what these two countries have to offer, the reason for its decline. Seeing that Marquis Wu of Wei was speaking for Wu Qi and giving Wu Qi a step, the minister quickly bent down and backed away, not daring to say anything more. Looking at the scenery by the river, Xia Ping'an also sighed in his heart. Wu Qi was a great talent and a ruthless man. However, Wu Qi was too ambitious and eager for fame. He abandoned his mother and killed his wife. He had regrets for being a dragon and traveled to various countries throughout his life. In the end, he escaped from the Wei state but did not end well in the Chu state. When King Chu Morning died, Wu Qi also ushered in the end of his life. Wu Qi made great achievements in the Chu state, but was eventually killed by the nobles of the Chu state who hated him. Wu Qi kept running around all his life, pursuing his achievements, but in the end he was buried by the achievements he pursued. The ending that God arranged for him is really sad. In these troubled times, with eternal hegemony, hundreds of schools of thought contending, and heroes fighting for their lives, God's will is clear and cause and effect are true, which is really awe-inspiring. Xia Ping'an was silent for a moment and looked at everyone on the boat. In this era of great strife, it is natural for a man to pursue his career. It's just a regret in my life that I abandoned my mother and killed my wife. I was wasted as a son and I was wasted as a husband. Every time I think about it, I regret it unexpectedly. If I could live my life over again, I would rather be an ordinary man who defends my country, and I will never let down my mother and my wife. I am a man of honor. If I want to sacrifice my loved ones in exchange for it, I don't want to take it. If I don't die well in the future, I will be punished by God. I hope that future generations can learn from me. Seeing what Xiaopinggan said, everyone on the boat looked at each other in confusion, and Marquis Wei Wu was moved again. No one expected that Wu Qi, who had always been stubborn and strong, could actually reveal his feelings at this time and say such touching and sincere words. The world of Jizu was instantly shattered. This world bead merges too fast. In the temple of the secret mandala, there are 15 more points of divine power, and there is also a portrait of Wu Qi on a boat discussing danger with Marquis Wu of Wei. When Xiaopinggan's consciousness looked at the portrait, Wu Qi in the portrait started to move. Wu Qi looked sad, as if he sighed, and bowed to Xiaopinggan. Next to Wu Qi's portrait is a portrait of Xiaopinggan that was obtained by merging the divine power world pearl. One portrait is of Sima Guang retreating a unicorn. It tells that in the later years of Song Renzong, the Jiazai kingdom offered a unicorn to the Song dynasty, but it was killed by Sima Guang. Regarding the returned matter, there is another painting, which shows Emperor Wen of Han dynasty wearing straw sandals when he goes to the palace to do business. These are two historical allusions that have been integrated easily before. Xiaopinggan opened his eyes and looked at the time. It took less than 3 minutes to fuse this world bead. Immediately afterwards, Xiaopinggan took out the second boundary pearl and the people of the country rioted. Anyone who is familiar with Chinese history probably knows this story. It is about the time of King Zhou Li. The idiom road with destination comes from this period. King Zhou Li was greedy and changed the entire country's mountains, forests, and lakes to the direct control and management of the emperor. Everything that comes out belongs to the emperor, and the countrymen are not allowed to enter to make a living. At the same time, they also engage in spy rule and order the guards, witches, and supervisors to slander, forcing everyone to follow the road with their eyes. In the end, the people of Hejing were united in riots and forced King Li of Zhou fled all the way from Hejing to Linfen, Shaanxi for refuge and never dared to return to Hejing. Because of this riot, the first period with Republic as the era name appeared in Chinese history, which was known as Zhou Republic in history. This Chinese uprising was the beginning in Chinese history when the ruled national class took up arms to resist tyranny and defend their rights, which is of great significance. I wonder if we can rewrite history this time and ambush King Zhou Li during the Hejing riot and kill that foolish king of Zhou Li, Xiaopinggan thought, took a deep breath, and started to bleed. In the following days, everything went as usual at the Yunhuan mountain base. Just as Xiaopinggan expected, after the army announced that a magic wolf mage had sneaked into the base and was killed, it did not cause much panic among the people in the base. For the people in the base, their nerves have already been extremely strong after being tempered by natural disasters and various space invasions. A killed magic wolf mage was forgotten by the people within a few days. The snow is not over yet. The valley and the roads outside were blocked by heavy snow. The snow was getting thicker and thicker, and the monsters completely disappeared. The Jizu of the national riot was perfectly integrated again, but King Zhou Li still failed to kill him and let him run away. The history in the Jizu did not change. Xiaopinggan also had a rare few days of rest. During these few days, Xiaopinggan spent his free time making rune bullets, or competing with Tupolu and others in martial arts and cooking hot pot. Not many days after the peaceful days passed, a group of more than 2,000 refugees came to the Yunhuan mountain base along the road. The arrival of this group of refugees suddenly broke the peace of the Yunhuan mountain base, caused a lot of chaos, and made the daily necessities, especially food, in the Yunhuan mountain base begin to become tense. Finally one day, in order to compete for food and shelter, the new arrivals and the people who came here before opened fire in the town. Shots were fired, 3 people were killed and 5 others were injured. The gunshot not only broke the peace at the Yunwan mountain base, but also ended Xiaopinggan's short vacation. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 137. The current situation is that the troops in the base still have enough food for 6 months, and the food supply for the more than 20,000 people is already a little tight. According to the current consumption rate, the people in the base can only hold on to the food stock. After more than 4 months, just when wheat can be planted next spring, the base's food will be completely exhausted. During this period, if there are still people fleeing to the base's food reserves will be consumed faster. Because of the conflicts caused by food, there will be more. In the auditorium of the military camp, all the summoners in the Yunwanshan base, several officers from the army, and representatives of some mass organizations, a total of more than 100 people, gathered here and began to discuss ways to deal with the current crisis. Colonel Wang Cheng is introducing the situation in the base. The gunshots yesterday exposed the food crisis the base was facing to everyone. There is a lot of ammunition at the Yunwan mountain base, but the food stored here is limited. After the influx of 20,000 to 30,000 people here, there is not much food in the Yunwan mountain base. Originally, according to the plan, everyone would save some money after the spring of next year. After planting the first batch of spring wheat and vegetables, the food in the base will be reduced. The supply should be able to gradually ease, and there should still be surplus while achieving self-sufficiency, but the current situation is not optimistic. With the arrival of new refugees, the already tight food supply in the base suddenly became even more tense. If hunger is allowed to spread, even if spring wheat can be planted next year, the spring wheat and other food crops in the base farm may not be able to wait until harvest time. An old man with silver hair and glasses said softly. This old man is one of the people's representatives of the base, is a retired teacher who is very popular among the people. He led some people and re-established the school in the base. The old man said softly, I have been to Africa before, and I have seen the destruction caused by hunger in Africa. Hunger can turn people into beasts. I suggest that the entrance to the Yunwan mountain base be completely blocked now, and no more people can come in. A strong people's representative in his 30s said directly, I know this is cruel, but let Vietnam. If more people come in, the food crisis in the base will become more and more serious. This is murder, a popular representative, a woman in her 40s with long hair, said loudly, now keeping people out of the base, what's the difference between that and letting them die? What about our sympathy? Don't forget, we were once just like them. I firmly disagree, and our Sisterhood Mutual Aid Association will not agree either. Let those hungry people in, that is real murder, and more people will die because of it. The public representative who had just suggested to block the entrance to the base immediately retorted loudly, without food, how can you sympathize? Your cheap sympathy will kill more people. At this time, between the interests of the majority and the interests of the minority, we can only choose the interests of the majority. Human life is not a math problem. Madam, you are wrong. At this time, human life is a mathematical problem. There is 20,000 on one side and 2,000 on the other. Who should be more worthy of saving, there is no doubt. This is so cold-blooded. The decision between life and death cannot satisfy everyone, and even a passion for life cannot save anyone. Before the summoners spoke, and several officers also didn't speak, several people's representatives started quarreling with each other and began to accuse each other, until Colonel Wang Cheng, who was presiding over the meeting, couldn't help but knock the table in front of him hard and banged. Amidst the banging noise, the quarrel among the people's representatives stopped. The current food supply in the base is already under a rationing system. I suggest that on the basis of the current rationing system, except for summoners, the daily food rations for everyone should be reduced by another 20%. This is what I and several officers from the officer corps, according to the officer's suggestion, We will start with the troops. From tomorrow on, the food supply for soldiers who are not performing tasks will be 80% of the normal supply, while the food supply for soldiers who are performing tasks will be 100%. In this way, we can persist for 5 more years. 1/5 of the time, or 1/5 more people can be saved. Colonel Wang Cheng's words silenced everyone in the conference room. There are a lot of prey in the mountains, including black bears, moose, and antelopes. We can go hunting in the mountains. Summoners will not go hungry. Tupolu looked around and said in a deep voice, "We are summoners who are fighting on the front line, are not pampered young ladies. I am willing to give up my food rations. You can give my food to those in need. If I need food, I will hunt and use prey in exchange. I will also give up my food ration. If I need food, I will also use prey to exchange for it." Fang Lingshan smoothed her hair and continued. "Others are hungry, but I am too embarrassed to eat too much. I also give up my food ration, so the summoner can be self-sufficient." Li Yunzhou said. "I give up too." Zuzu started. "Are we still afraid of this? Just hunting an antelope can feed us for half a month. If we really get hungry, the meat of the devil rat can actually be eaten." Shuesidao also smiled and said softly, "I will give up too." "I give up too." Xiaopingan said. Seeing that Xiaopingan had expressed his stance, and all the summoners expressed their willingness to give up the base's food rations, this attitude made it impossible to be picky. For summoners, there is really no need to worry about starving to death. If summoners can starve to death, ordinary people will probably not be left alive. After all the summoners had finished expressing their opinions, several public representatives put forward some suggestions, such as organizing food production teams such as picking teams, fishing teams, and production teams, and other things such as promoting frugality and making the elderly and women eat less. One of the more reliable initiatives was that a public representative suggested that we first search for some supplies and materials in the base, try to build some vegetable greenhouses, and organize manpower to try to produce off-season vegetables. The meeting lasted for more than an hour, and at the end, everyone left one after another. Although this meeting did not propose a complete solution to the food crisis, it also proposed some countermeasures. That's all it can do now. Throughout the entire meeting, Xiaopingan never said anything except for his statement just now. It wasn't until everyone left the auditorium one after another and came outside that Xiaopingan stopped Guo Wei and gave Guo Wei a wink to stay. There was still a cold wind blowing outside, so Xiaopingan pulled Guo Wei under a pine tree to talk. "Aren't there several underground war-ready grain depots near Xingquan City? Can you get the construction drawings of Xingquan City's war-ready grain depot?" Xiaopingan said directly. Guo Wei's expression changed when he heard Xiaopingan's question. He already knew what Xiaopingan wanted to do. "No, it's too dangerous. Xingquan is almost dominated by those monsters now." Xiaopingan smiled and said, "I've been a little busy these days. I want to go to Xingquan again. If there is still food in Xingquan's underground war preparation depot, I can get some back. Wouldn't this problem be solved? I'll take someone with you. I can go alone. If I really need someone to follow me, firstly, the target is too big. Secondly, it will distract me and affect the efficiency of my actions. When I run away, you may not be able to keep up." Guo Wei hesitated for a moment. "Lao Tu and the others?" "Lao Tu and the others won't go either. It's convenient for me to go alone. I'll come back when I get the food. If I can't get it, I'll go to Xingquan to investigate again." Seeing Xiaopingan's firm attitude, Guo Wei couldn't help but nodded. "There is a lot of information stored in the base, let me go look for it." "Okay, if I find it, I'll send it to you this afternoon." Guo Wei nodded and waited until Guo Wei left in a hurry. Man Zijin walked out from the side and looked at Xiaopingan eagerly. "I want to go." "Don't go anywhere. Eat the bodybuilding pills I gave you first." Don't forget that you have a heavy responsibility now. Upon hearing what Xiaopingan said, Manzijin could only remain silent. Is it really possible to fuse the boundary pearl after eating 180 body strengthening pills? I don't know, this is just my feeling. It may be dangerous, and it may fail, but I think it's worth a try. Manzijin nodded heavily. A few hours later, Guo Wei sent 2 pictures. After dark, Xiaopingan quietly left the Yunwan mountain base alone, wearing a cloak and a pair of skis. Xiaopingan took advantage of the darkness, braved the wind and snow, and skated all night. Relying on his strong body, by the next morning, he had returned to the outskirts of Xinquan City. The entire Xinquan City was covered in snow and deserted, and all the roads were covered with snow. Xiaopingan used his remote viewing ability to take a look. The underground air raid shelters and shopping malls in Xinquan City were densely packed with magic fire spiders and magic liquid spiders. The demon rats are crowded in the residential buildings in those communities, and some have drilled many holes in the ground. On the surface, there is no visible abnormality. When Xiaopingan's distant vision saw the 2 permanent space cracks in Xinquan City, his heart was shocked. Holy shit! The blocks near the 2 space cracks have completely changed. A large number of demon wolves have occupied all the city blocks around the space cracks. Demonic wolf warriors carrying weapons on their backs and walking upright on 2 feet were everywhere. The demon wolf warrior is different from the demon wolf mage. The demon wolf warrior is still in the shape of a wolf, with a tall body. Each demon wolf warrior is about 2 meters in size. They are covered with hair all over their bodies and are full of wildness. The body of the wild wolf warrior wearing leather armor, carrying something like an old-fashioned musket on his back, and holding a sword. It seems that not long after those large numbers of demon wolves came out of the cracks in space, the patrolling demon wolf warriors were all full of vigilance and curiosity. While Xiaopingan was patrolling with his remote viewing ability, demonic wolf warriors kept coming out of the cracks in space. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 138. The space rift is extremely busy. There are too many people from the demon wolf clan pouring out of the space rift. The back of the space rift is like a hell full of demons and monsters, with countless demon wolves pouring out from inside. Just when Xiaopingan was paying attention to the 2 space cracks with his remote viewing ability, Xiaopingan suddenly discovered that the 2 space cracks suddenly twisted and began to undergo some changes. A bit of golden light suddenly appeared in the originally dark space crack. The golden light became bigger and bigger, gradually spreading and completely illuminating the 2 space cracks. In the golden light and shadow, a large tree with leafy branches appeared. Light and shadow appear in the cracks. Xiaopingan was shocked. He had heard from Fang Lingshan and Tupolu before about the scene where the space cracks disappeared in the Qianlong Mountains. He did not expect that he could witness it with his own eyes this time when he returned to Xinquan. Yes, the scene in front of them was exactly the same as what Fang Lingshan and Tupolu said. In the light and shadow of the big tree, you can really see a figure sitting cross-legged under the tree. Xiaopingan's heart was beating wildly, and he was shocked by this scene. When the light and shadow of the golden tree appeared, all the people of the demon wolf clan panicked, as if they had a premonition of what was going to happen. Countless people of the demon wolf clan were shouting and looking frightened. The wolves were desperately running away, and those demon wolves still in the space cracks were desperately trying to run out of the space cracks. Xiaopingan saw the arms, thighs, and heads and bodies of the demon wolves trying to run out, squeeze out, and rush out from the cracks in the space that turned into gold. However, the body slowly solidified, and its movements became slower and slower, just like flies and reptiles solidified in quick-drying cement. One by one they stopped moving. On the surface of the space crack, there were countless bodies and countless arms stretched out, densely packed, but from the moment the golden light appeared, no demon wolf could squeeze out of the space crack. The next second, golden light flashed in the space crack, and the two huge permanent space cracks burst like two bubbles and disappeared instantly. The arms, legs, half of the body, and head of the demon wolf that stretched out from the space cracks were like being cut off by a sharp guillotine. With a clatter, the moment the space cracks disappeared, suddenly fell from the sky like rain. The broken limbs and broken arms of the demon wolf were piled up into hills on the ground, hundreds of them, and the blood formed a pool of blood. It was unknown how many demon wolves were annihilated along with the cracks in the space. Before, he felt a lot of pressure when he saw the demon wolf Xiaoping'an in Xingquan City. Looking at it now, he felt that the demon wolves had been defeated and their morale was severely depressed. Although there were more demon wolves, those demon wolves were like frightened birds. Trembling, each demon wolf seemed to be running for its life away from the place where the space crack appeared just now. Xiaoping'an didn't know what was going on with the big golden tree and the figure sitting cross-legged under the big tree, because it was beyond his cognitive scope, but the two permanent space cracks disappeared under his eyes. This is good news, absolutely great news. The permanent space cracks have disappeared, which means that those monsters can no longer come out of the space cracks in an endless stream, and they will definitely be killed one by one. There is hope for regaining Xingquan. I wonder if the permanent space cracks in other places have also disappeared one by one? It was getting dark at this moment, so Xiaoping'an did not move towards Xingquan City to avoid being discovered. Instead, he temporarily stopped at an abandoned motel on the roadside nearby, preparing to visit the war preparation grain depot in the evening. The motel was still more than 30 kilometers away from the city. There was a small village around it. The motel had 3 floors. There were 2 burned cars in the yard. Xiaoping'an put away his skis. In a flash, he was already there. Arriving at the door of the motel, I entered the hotel through the ajar door, went directly to the 3rd floor, and found a room to settle down. The motel rooms were in disarray, having not been cleaned for so long that there was a layer of dust on the tables in those rooms. Xiaoping'an was in the room, ate something, then found a cushion and sat quietly with his eyes closed. The day passed quickly, and before I knew it, it was getting dark. Suddenly, Xiaoping'an was awakened by a palpitating feeling. He opened his eyes and felt that everything around the hotel had become quiet. He looked outside with remote vision and saw the phantom in the wilderness outside the motel. Heavy, one after another, the demon wolves were surrounding the hotel from all sides. Most of those magic wolves are magic wolf warriors, there are 200 to 300 of them, and there are 3 magic wolf mages among them. The hair on the heads of 2 magic wolf mages is black, and the hair on the head of one of the magic wolf mages is the red one. Looks a little special. How do these demon wolves know they are here? Xiaoping'an suddenly looked at the wolf head mark on the back of his right hand near the tiger's mouth. Could it be that, these magic wolves and the magic wolf mage he killed were from the same family, and they sensed their location? Looking from the direction in which the demonic wolves were approaching, Xiaoping'an felt that the demonic wolves did not seem to have completely locked onto the motel where he was. Instead, they surrounded the entire small village and did not fully focus on the motel where he was. There are too many demon wolves, but their power is too spread out, and they can break through on their own. Just when Xiaoping'an was thinking about breaking out, a fireball flew out of a small building more than 100 meters away from Xiaoping'an's small hotel, and struck a demon who had just touched the nearby area like lightning. On the wolf warrior's body, the demon wolf warrior instantly turned into a torch and burned. I don't know if the demon wolf warrior was carrying flammable and explosive items on his back. It burned for a few seconds and was still rolling in the snow. Suddenly, there was a bang and completely exploded. It was blown to pieces. Vague. Then Xiaoping'an saw a familiar figure burst out of the window upstairs and jumped out. The person was in the air, and the pistol he held in his hand opened fire at the surrounding demon wolves, clicking continuously. After 3 demon wolves were exploded, the man was still laughing wildly. "You beasts have noses sharper than dogs. Isn't it that one of your demon wolf mages who killed you before actually found me? That guy, with his white hair, Xuanhuan, sounded like he really needed a beating, and he couldn't be Yan Duo. This guy Yan Duo is actually here? Yan Duo teased those demon wolves with his lips, but his skills were not ambiguous at all. With a wave of his hand, he summoned 2 tigers with flashing red lights, and rushed towards the demon wolves around him. He quickly broke through the gap in the wolf's circle. Judging from his speed, he seemed to have entered the realm of duality. In a flash, he was more than 10 meters away, very quickly. Yan Duo's charge out immediately attracted all the surrounding demon wolves. The demon wolves all roared and rushed towards Yan Duo. Xiaopingyan saw the demon wolf warriors taking off the musket-like things they were carrying, running quickly, and firing towards the place where Yan Duo was. Bang, bang, bang. Amidst the loud explosions, flames spewed out from the muzzles of the musket-like things taken from the demon wolf warriors, and bullets really shot towards Yan Duo. Damn! The things in the hands of those demon wolf warriors are actually muskets, and the projectiles fired from the muskets are not ordinary projectiles, but things similar to rune bullets. When a projectile is shot from the muzzle of the gun, it becomes a ball of flame, a bit like the summoner's fireball spell. Suddenly, balls of fire burst out from time to time around Yan Duo's figure, like fireworks, dazzling in the darkness and illuminating the surrounding snow. An ordinary person might have died long ago, but Yan Duo was so slippery and so fast that he rushed out of the circle of demon wolves before they came around. A long sword appeared in Yan Duo's hand at some point. In the flash of sword light, he chopped off the heads of 2 demon wolf warriors. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 139. The Demon Wolf Warrior and the Demon Wolf Mage are chasing Yan Duo. One by one, flaming bullets and ice picks exploded in front of and behind Yan Duo. Snowflakes filled the sky, and explosions continued. Yan Duo fought back while running. Xiaopingyan discovered that Yan Duo seemed to have a space device on his body. The weapon in his hand first changed from a pistol to a long sword, and then from the long sword to shotguns. With a gun blast, or a fireball spell, a demon wolf warrior will turn into a ball of fire and explode. The demon wolf warriors are very fast, but the shooting speed of the firearms they hold is not fast. After each shot is fired, the firearms held by the demon wolf warriors must be reloaded. The loading method is a bit like an old-fashioned flintlock gun. First load the powder, then load the bomb. This way, the rate of fire will slow down. The demon wolf warriors also carry things like horns on their backs. They can charge the powder while running. When loading, they pour the contents of the horns into the barrel of the gun and tamp it down. Yan Duo's shotgun and fireball skills were designed to detonate the thing in the horn. In the blink of an eye, Yan Duo rushed into a 5-story building in a village. The demon wolf warriors followed him and swarmed in, huddled together. A few seconds later, Yan Duo rushed to the roof of the building. With a sudden change in his hand, he took out a special crossbow. As he ran, he pointed the crossbow toward another room 60 or 70 meters away. Shot over the roof of the house. When the powerful crossbow was fired, the head of the crossbow turned into a flying claw, and there was a black line at the tail. After the crossbow arrow hit the roof of the house in the distance, the flying claw grabbed a fence on the roof. Yan Duo ran, pulled the thread, and found that his grip was quite strong. He grabbed the thread of the flying claw and jumped down from the 5th floor. He quickly landed a few meters above the ground, and was separated from the building behind him. Zi then threw all those demon wolves behind him. This guy Yan Duo is so slippery. The demon wolves rushed to the top of the building and found that Yan Duo had escaped from the top of the building, and they were trying to get down from the top of the building in a mess. At this moment, Xiaopingyan took action. When Yan Duo was escaping just now, Xiaopinggan also found his way out of the room and hid behind a house not far away. Those demon wolves were chasing Yan Duo and did not even notice the small village in the wilderness. There is actually a summoner hidden. Seeing a large number of magic wolves rushing into the 5-story building, Xiaopinggan took out the individual cloud explosive bomb without saying a word, and carried it to fire one round at the 5-story building. However, at a distance of 200 to 300 meters, Xiaopinggan's cloud bomb launcher only shook. A bit of flame from the tail flame of the cloud bomb flew to the outside of the small building like an arrow, and instantly hit the entrance of the small building. A large number of demonic wolf warriors were about to rush out from the entrance, but they happened to run into the incoming cloud bombs. Boom! The cloud blast agent in the cloud blast bomb turned into a ball of rapidly expanding fire, swallowing dozens of demon wolf warriors at once, and half of the building collapsed. This roar was more shocking than all the noises just now put together. Yan Duo, who was running in front, felt the shockwave behind him, and he suddenly fell onto the snow. He looked back and screamed in his heart, "Damn, who is so fierce?" After firing a cloud explosion bomb, Xiaopinggan moved his hand, and another individual cloud explosion bomb launcher appeared in his hand. He fired another cloud explosion bomb at a magic wolf mage. There were more than a dozen demon wolf warriors beside the demon wolf mage. Just now Xiaopinggan fired a cloud explosion, and the demon wolf mage had already rushed towards Xiaopinggan. However, the demon wolf mage did not expect Xiaopinggan's hand. There is a second one. Boom! The cloud explosion bomb directly hit the target. The magic wolf mage and more than a dozen magic wolf warriors around him were torn into pieces by the fire of the second cloud explosion bomb shot by Xiaopinggan. Not every magic wolf mage is as powerful as the magic wolf mage who was killed by Xiaopinggan last time, and not every magic wolf mage can withstand such a powerful weapon as a single soldier's cloud explosion bomb. Before those demon wolves could fully react, in less than a tenth of a second, Xiaopinggan took out another individual cloud bomb launcher and fired at a bunch of demon wolves. Passed. Boom! 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 The individual cloud explosive bomb in Xiaopinggan's hand seemed to be free of charge. As soon as it was fired, the second launcher appeared immediately, and the second shot was fired immediately after. Those demon wolves were stunned by the explosion. A single cloudburst bomb was shot out, and all the demon wolves within 200 to 300 square meters were ignited into fireballs or torn into pieces. In just 3 or 4 seconds, 7 cloud explosion bombs were shot out from Xiaopinggan's hand. More than half of the demon wolf warriors in the village were killed. One demon wolf mage was killed, and another demon wolf was killed. Mage wolf was thrown more than 10 meters by the shockwave of the cloud bomb. The response of the demon wolf warriors was indeed rapid. Before Xiaopinggan had time to shoot the 8th cloud bomb, the demon wolf warriors had already dispersed, roaring one by one, and rushed towards Xiaopinggan. The demon wolf warrior also fired at Xiaopinggan with the weapon in his hand. Several balls of flames instantly appeared next to Xiaopinggan and exploded around Xiaopinggan, igniting 2 old trees. The demon wolf warriors who were close to Xiaopinggan directly slashed at Xiaopinggan with their swords. Xiaopinggan's body moved like a cheetah in the snow. The individual cloud bombs were received by Xiaopinggan in the space warehouse. The MR-98 appeared in Xiaopinggan's hands. Xiaopinggan ran to avoid those demon wolves. The flame bullets fired by the warriors started to name the magic wolf warriors with rune bullets. The demon wolf warrior is physically very strong, but not to the point where he can dodge bullets, especially rune bullets. As long as they are shot by Xiaopinggan's rune bullets, the flame effect attached to the rune bullets will make the bodies of the demon wolf warriors burn like torches and detonate the horn powder pots on them. The MR-98, which originally could only hold 6 bullets, was in Xiaopinggan's hands. The bullets inside seemed to be useless. After shooting 6 bullets, he could still continue shooting. This move is something that Xiaopinggan took a long time to develop, After firing the 6 bullets in the MR-98 runner, he directly wrapped the bullet casing in the runner with his consciousness and put the bullet out. Send it to the space warehouse, and then use the same method to load the bullets in the space warehouse into the gun. In this way, the bullets in the MR-98L seem to be endless. Amidst the gunshots of bang bang bang, in the blink of an eye, more than a dozen demon wolf warriors rushing towards Xiaoping turned into fireballs and exploded. If the 2 explosions of cloud bombs in front didn't let Yan Duo know who was helping him, then the unique gunshot of the MR-98 behind him made Yan Duo understand at once that it was Xiaoping who was here. Among the people Yan Duo knew, among the summoners in the entire Yizhou province, only Xiaoping used MR-98. As soon as Xiaoping appeared, the situation of the battle suddenly reversed. Kill. Yan Duo no longer ran away, but turned around and with a wave of his hand, he summoned 5 fierce warriors wearing armor and killed the demon wolves behind him. The 2 of them moved forward and backward, actually sandwiching the demonic wolves in the middle. The warriors summoned by Yan Duo were much stronger than the elite slave soldiers. They were agile and armed with long swords. Even compared with those demon wolf warriors, they were not inferior at all. As soon as the 5 ferocious warriors wearing armor appeared, they directly blocked the 5 demon wolf warriors. They fought against the 5 demon wolf warriors and still had a slight upper hand. And Yan Duo also faced the red-haired magic wolf mage. The red-haired magic wolf mage roared and pointed his hand at Yan Duo. More than a dozen black mist turned into wolf heads, bared his teeth, and shot towards Yan Duo like arrows. A circle of ice blue water shield instantly appeared around Yan Duo. The water shield vibrated, roared, and exploded. Yan Duo's face turned pale, and he was sent flying backwards by the exploding water shield and fell heavily to the ground. A demon wolf warrior next to him rushed over and was about to hit him. The long sword in Yan Duo's hand appeared, and his body jumped up from the ground. He pierced the demon wolf warrior with one sword, and then grabbed the body of the demon wolf warrior. Blocked another flaming bullet. The body of the demon wolf warrior burned, and Yan Duo threw it, blocking several flying ice picks. Under the ice picks, the burning body of the demon wolf warrior suddenly fell apart. This kind of battle is too fierce. It includes the confrontation of cold weapons, the bombardment of hot weapons, and the fighting with magic. 3 fighting methods are coming. Here, we just dealt with the long knife chopped by the demon wolf warrior, and then there was a deadly spell from the magic wolf mage nearby. Just as he escaped from the spell, another bullet came. For the summoner, in such a fierce battle, a little carelessness can lead to instant death. Yan Duo had just killed a few demon wolf warriors, and he had been blown away several times by the magic wolf's spell. He even used the trick of rolling on the ground to dodge. Damn it, hurry up and clean up those stray hairs and come with me to kill this red-haired magic wolf mage. Yan Duo was dodging the counter-attack in a somewhat embarrassed shape and yelled at Xiaoping. As soon as he finished shouting the sentence, more than 10 snowmen crawled out of the snowdrift around him. Each snowman opened his hands and rushed towards Yan Duo. Yan Duo gritted his teeth, waved his hand, and summoned 7 or 8 slave soldiers, leaving those slave soldiers to fight with the snowman. On the other side, Xiaoping used MR-98 to ignite a few more demon wolf warriors. Another demon wolf mage had already rushed towards him. With a wave of his hand, dozens of ice picks sandwiched several wolf head-shaped black mist came towards him from all directions. Xiaoping came. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 140. The long whip of the black cobra appeared in Xiaoping's hand. The long whip was like a black current, driving the wind and snow. Xiaoping's long whip rolled up the 2 demon wolf warriors who were charging towards him, blocking him like a shield. In front of you. Puff puff. In just an instant, the 2 magic wolf warriors were shot by ice picks and turned into hedgehogs. The bloody ice pick penetrated the leather armor of the 2 demon wolf warriors, and a section of it emerged from the back of the two demon wolf warriors. Xiaopingan threw the two demon wolf warriors' bodies towards the black smoke like wolf heads. The bodies of the two demon wolf warriors were hit by several streams of black smoke. The flesh and blood on their bodies withered instantly, and their entire bodies suddenly turned into fine black ash, which scattered all of a sudden. Holy shit! This magic wolf mage is indeed cruel. Seeing that the magic wolf mage was about to cast his spell again, and there were several magic wolf warriors around him rushing toward him, the long whip in Xiaopingan's hand shook, and he picked up the magic wolf warrior and dropped it to the ground. The sword was thrown towards the magic wolf mage. The long knife pierced the air, like an arrow, and shot straight into the chest of the magic wolf mage. The magic wolf mage's spell was interrupted. As soon as he called his hand, the snow around him flew towards him, forming an ice and snow shield in front of the magic wolf mage, blocking Xiaopingan's flying missile. Knife. Xiaopingan waved his hand, and 5 tigers and 10 elite slave soldiers appeared around him. The 5 tigers roared and rushed towards the magic wolf warriors rushing around. Among the 10 elite slave soldiers, 5 of them took out their throwing spears and threw them at the surrounding demon wolf warriors who wanted to shoot, using their throwing spears to interfere with the shooting of those demon wolf warriors. There were 5 other elite slave soldiers who kept throwing their spears at the magic wolf mage in front of Xiaopingan and the magic wolf mage who was fighting with Yan Duo. The spear thrown by the elite slave soldiers cannot kill the magic wolf mage, but the spear throwing can interrupt the rhythm of the two magic wolf mages' spells, allowing the two magic wolf mages to be distracted, dodge, and respond, and save Xiaopingan and Yan Yan. Fight to gain time. The magic wolf mage who was fighting Xiaopingan smashed a throwing spear in anger, and killed 2 elite slave soldiers with ice picks. Xiaopingan had already rushed in front of the magic wolf mage like a tiger descending from the mountain. As soon as the magic wolf mage retreated, he found that Xiaopingan waved his hand, and a large net enveloped him. The magic wolf mage flashed a stern look in his eyes, opened his mouth and spit out a ball of flame, burning the large net that Xiaopingan had spread into ashes. At the same time, a wolf head like black smoke was shot at Xiaopingan like an arrow. Xiaopingan summoned the water shield, and the black smoke fell from his crotch. The magic wolf mage just wanted to cast another spell, but suddenly felt a pain in his calf. He lowered his head and saw a big black dog running up to him without knowing when, and smacked him with a bite. A piece of bloody flesh was bitten off the calf. The magic wolf mage was extremely angry. He was a magic wolf and a mage among the magic wolves. He was tricked by a dog. An ice pick shot out from his hand and nailed the black dragon to the ground, turning it into a point of light. Dissipate. There was just such a moment of delay, and when the magic wolf mage was about to turn his head, he found that a long black whip had been whipped in front of him at some point. The long black whip is like a black and vicious cobra, and the end of the long whip is like the tail of a black cobra. The long whip was shaking, and the potential energy on the whip was quickly transferred from the front to the tip of the whip like a ripple. The speed of the whip tip was suddenly accelerating beyond the maximum speed that his naked eyes could detect. Not good. An idea just popped up in the head of the magic wolf mage. He just wanted to take action and cast a protective spell, but it was already too late. The tip of the black cobra's whip in Xiaopingan's hand had already broken through the sound barrier at that moment. A violent explosion sounded in the air at this moment, like a shot being fired, with a snap that shook the whole place. The tip of the black cobra's whip was poured fiercely from one of the eyes of the magic wolf mage, directly into the brain. As the strength of Xiaopingan's hand was transmitted, with a flick, the head of the magic wolf mage seemed to be stuffed. The watermelon that was put into the firecrackers exploded all of a sudden, and the red and white brains spilled all over the floor. The next second, Xiaopingan summoned a fireball and flew over to finish off the attack, turning the magic wolf mage into ashes and crushing the last trace of life in the magic wolf mage. A bead rolled out from the head of the magic wolf mage. At this time, Xiaopinggan didn't have time to take a closer look. With the roll of the long whip, the bead was rolled into the spatial warehouse. The next second, Xiaopinggan held a whip in one hand and a gun in the other, and rushed towards the magic wolf warriors. The sonic boom of the whip sounded from time to time. Every time there was a sonic boom, a demon wolf warrior's head was pierced and exploded by the whip, and he fell to the ground. If Xiaopinggan was still in the one-dimensional realm, it might take a little more effort to kill these demon wolf warriors and not so easy. But now Xiaopinggan in the two-dimensional realm has an overwhelming advantage over those demon wolf warriors. As long as Xiaopinggan is close to 5 within a few meters, the black glasses cord on Xiaopinggan's hand was able to deal with the demon wolf warriors, one by one, without any ambiguity. And the gun in Xiaopinggan's hand was not idle either. The rune bullets fired from the gun either exploded each of the magic wolf warriors, or they shot towards the red-haired magic wolf mage and threw them at the elite slave soldiers. It was like a javelin shooting out, constantly interfering with the red-haired magic wolf mage's spellcasting, overwhelming the red-haired magic wolf mage and allowing Yan Duo to take a breath. As more and more demon wolf warriors were killed by Xiaopinggan, the balance on the battlefield gradually tilted towards Xiaopinggan and Yan Duo. The red-haired magic wolf mage also realized that something was wrong and wanted to escape, but was suddenly trapped by Yan Duo's painted earth prison. Yan Duo also started to fight desperately, summoning 5 more warriors in armor to join in the attack on the red man. The siege of the hairy devil wolf mage. Xiaopinggan also summoned 5 slave soldiers again to join the battlefield. The slave soldiers were running around on the edge of the battlefield, constantly throwing their spears at the red-haired magic wolf mage. A circle of rotating disease shields had formed around the body of the red-haired magic wolf mage, which blocked those attacks, but at the same time he was also trapped. A demon wolf warrior was holding a gun dozens of meters away. He finally loaded the bullet again and fired a shot at Xiaopinggan. He turned into a torch and fired 3 consecutive shots. 3 more demon wolf warriors were killed, and the last demon wolf warrior was pierced through the head by Xiaopinggan. After killing the last demon wolf warrior, Xiaopinggan turned around and the M in his hand disappeared. A single cloud burst appeared in Xiaopinggan's hand and blasted directly towards the red-haired demon wolf mage. Holy shit! Yan Duo cursed when he saw the cloud explosion bomb coming, and immediately retreated. The red-haired magic wolf mage trapped in the cage on the ground roared, and the ice shield around him immediately tripled in size and was several meters thick. Boom! The flames of the cloud bomb suddenly surrounded the red-haired magic wolf mage. A ball of hot flames was rolling, and the snow within 30 or 40 meters around him melted instantly. When the firelight just disappeared, the ice shield around the red-haired magic wolf wizard in the fire also disappeared. The red-haired magic wolf wizard was charred black and bleeding all over his body, as if he had crawled out of a coal mine grabbing thorns. Like being absent from work, almost even the red hair on his head was burned bald. The magic of drawing the ground as a prison also dissipated in the fire and explosion of this individual cloud bomb. Just as the red-haired demonic wolf mage was about to escape, the yellow light appeared again under his feet. Yan Duo gritted his teeth and rushed over, trapping the red-haired demonic wolf mage in a small circle of less than 10 square meters. At the same time that the effect of Yan Duo's second magic spell of drawing the ground as a prison appeared, Xiaoping moved his hand again and took out another individual cloud explosive bomb from his hand. In the despair of the red-haired magic wolf mage, in the angry eyes, another cloud explosion bomb blasted past. After the second cloud blast bomb was blasted, the red-haired magic wolf mage was almost left with only a charred skeleton still supporting it. But it was the skeleton that waved his hand, and several black smoke flew out, taking Yan away. The summoned warriors wearing armor turned into nothingness. Yan Duo used another prison to trap the red-haired magic wolf mage. Damn it, I don't believe I can't kill you, just blast him to death. Xiaopingyan's third individual cloud explosion bomb exploded. When the firelight dissipated, there was already a big pit on the ground where the red-haired demon wolf mage was. and the red-haired demon wolf mage was completely reduced to scum and was brutally beaten to death by Xiaopingan and Yan Duo. Another boundary bead was left on the ground. Yan Duo got close and grabbed the boundary bead. "Hurry up, those demon wolves are coming!" Xiaopingan yelled at Yan Duo. The two people didn't say a word, ran away, and disappeared into the darkness in the blink of an eye.